Hello, everybody. Today is March 3rd, 2023. It's Rust Belt Perspective here, and today I'm going to be giving you my first round of Senate predictions for the 2024 cycle. So, coming into it, it is widely considered to be a bad map for the Democrats, as they have 23 seats, including their independents, up for re-election, while the Republicans only have 11 seats, and most of those seats for the Republicans are considered safe seats. You know, you got Utah, Wyoming, North Dakota, both the Nebraska seats up for election, Missouri, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Indiana. All considered safe seats for the Republicans, putting them at 47 right off the bat. You know, North Dakota, Missouri, and Indiana were all competitive back in 2018. But that being said, we're all Democratic incumbents who have since been defeated, and there's no worry that the Republicans will retain these seats, even with incumbent Mike Braun not running here and instead going for their governor race. So, right off the bat, the Republicans are at 47 seats, but luckily for the Democrats, they also have their round of safe seats. Hawaii, California, Washington, Maine with independent Angus King announcing his re-election, Vermont, New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, and with Minnesota, yes, the Republicans have been competitive there, but Amy Klobuchar, very popular. There's no doubt in my mind that she will win here. And then New Mexico, same deal. Martin Heinrich, also a popular incumbent. There's no doubt that he should win despite the fact that Republicans can be competitive here. So with that, we have 11 seats that to some degree are competitive. For the Republicans, we'll start out with Texas and Florida, who I'm going to consider as likely states for them. Incumbent Rick Scott narrowly unseated Bill Nelson back in 2018, but the state has shifted red over these past several election cycles, and considering in 2020 how almost the entire nation shifted blue relative to 2016 in the presidential standpoint, Florida was one of the only seats that went red. That further shows that this is absolutely a Rick Scott seat here. It's going to take a lot for the Democrats to unseat him. Then in Texas, the Democrats have gotten a lot more competitive there in these last few election cycles. But that being said, no matter how hard they have tried, they have not been able to unseat any Republican statewide office holder here. And as polarizing as Ted Cruz is, like I said, there really isn't a clear path to victory for the Democrats. It has been a Republican stronghold, and I think it will remain as such in 2024. But the Democrats also have their share of likely seats, as the Republicans have already retained all of their Senate seats coming into the cycle. They can only gain from here. But like I said, the Democrats have their likely seats. Virginia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. The only reason I'm not going to consider Virginia a safe blue state is because Tim Kaine is very popular, yes, but Governor Glenn Youngkin just over a year ago was elected and took office here in Virginia, and he is term limited in 2025, so he may challenge Kaine here. Youngkin, can't underestimate him. He was able to capitalize on Joe Biden's popularity. And he definitely has a lot of statewide recognition. If he challenges Kaine, coupled with Biden's unpopularity, at the very least, this should be a competitive election. That being said, Tim Kaine absolutely has the upper hand. Pennsylvania, it has definitely been competitive in recent election cycles, going right a few times on both the presidential and Senate level. That being said, Bob Casey has won the state by 10 points almost every time he has ran. He is a strong candidate, and Pennsylvania just voted against Mehmet Oz in favor of John Fetterman by 5 points, despite the fact that Fetterman has a lot of already known health issues coming into this election. So then we head into Wisconsin here. This one may be controversial that I'm putting it as likely, but if you look at it, Tammy Baldwin won the state by almost 10 points in 2018, and she is one of the most popular senators nationwide for the Democrats, being the first ever openly gay senator. She has gotten a lot of recognition, and she is well known, so I really don't see how the Republicans are going to have an easy time unseating her. There aren't really any big-name candidates that are known to be challenging her right now. So with that, I think that it is a likely blue state for this cycle. And there's one more likely state, and it is our first flip of this map, and that is going to be West Virginia. I think that the Democrats here are in trouble. Yes, Joe Manchin has been popular in the state. In 2018, he narrowly won. But you got to remember, partisanship is growing fast here in America, including West Virginia here. There are only 5 states left that have one senator from each party. And West Virginia just voted for Donald Trump by over 40 points. In 2018, Joe Manchin was narrowly able to defeat Patrick Morrisey, who already had some controversy surrounding him. And, of course, it was also a blue wave year in 2018 with the Democrats winning big nationwide. And all that considered, Manchin still only won by 3 points. And with the way partisanship has only grown since then, that leads me to think that West Virginia really will not re-up Joe Manchin for another 6 years. So that's it for likely states. The Republicans are already at 50. They only either need the vice presidency or one more Senate seat to achieve a majority here. But the Democrats, they do hold incumbents in all 5 of these states. By no means is it a lock for the Republicans to cut into all of these states. In fact, we'll start out here with Nevada as we get into the lean states now. I think it is a lean Democratic state. Jackie Rosen won the swing state by 5 points back in 2018, and the Democrats continue to win here statewide despite the polls. They always outperform. You know, just this past election cycle, Adam Laxalt was supposed to defeat incumbent Senator Cortez Masto according to the polls, and guess what? Cortez Masto prevailed. In 2020, Joe Biden was able to win the state. 2018, Jackie Rosen herself unseated the Republican incumbent. And even in 2016, Cortez Masto, despite the polls, she outperformed them and won. The Democrats are always able to do what it takes to win in this swing state, and I don't see why 2024 should be any different for them. And now, another interesting race here is Michigan. I'm going to characterize it as a lean Democratic state. Incumbent Senator Debbie Stabenow has announced that she is going to retire at the end of her term, which makes this race wide open. And if you think about it, in 2020, incumbent Gary Peters, he only won here by less than 2 points. Of course, Michigan overall usually does go blue statewide with both their senators, their governor. Most presidential cycles, they go blue. But that being said, Trump did win the state very narrowly in 2016, just for it to go back to Biden in 2020. The Republicans have shown they could be competitive here, and with this race being wide open, it is definitely in play for the Republicans, but the Democrats, who, like I said, usually win statewide, have the upper hand in Michigan. So now we're down to 3 states. Next state I'm going to characterize is Montana as a lean Democratic state. The only reason they even have hope in the far red state is because incumbent Jon Tester intends to run for re-election. And yes, I know I just talked about how partisanship has grown in this country, but that being said, Jon Tester is a force. You know, he, in 2006 when he first ran, unseated the Republican Conrad Burns by less than a point. And then in 2012, when it coincided with the presidential election, Mitt Romney, the Republican, defeated Obama in the state by 9 points. But that did not matter for Jon Tester. He still won by 4 points. And that was in a 13-point swing in his favor. Of course, that is against the presidential election here. And in 2018, his vote share only grew. He did not only get a plurality, he got over 50% of the vote. It does not matter how red Montana has always been, Jon Tester always finds a way to win, and I don't see why 2024 should be any different for him. So that being said, The balance of the Senate comes down to Ohio and Arizona. There's one more lean state I am going to characterize here, and that is Ohio. I think it is a likely red state. Yes, Sherrod Brown is also a force in Ohio, much like Jon Tester is in Montana, but it's different because in 2012, I said Jon Tester won the race by 13 points more than Obama did relative to their elections. Sherrod Brown here, he won 50.7% of the vote, which is very similar to what Barack Obama also won in Ohio in 2012 when Obama did win that state. But since then, as we know, Ohio has shifted red on the presidential scale in 2016 and 2020, with Trump winning there comfortably both times. And in 2018, yes, Sherrod Brown did win by 7 points, but first of all, that was a blue wave year that he was able to ride. Second of all, his challenger could not run a campaign to save his life, and Brown still only won by 7 points. And another thing too is their other senator, newly elected J.D. Vance, he couldn't run a campaign to save his life, and he still won by 6 points. So it may not even matter if Sherrod Brown gets a weak challenger or not. There are a lot of factors working against him here, and I find it difficult for him to win re-election here in Ohio. So with that, the Republicans have the majority, and we get into the most interesting race as of now for this cycle, Arizona. Incumbent Senator Kyrsten Sinema is one of the most unpopular, if not the most unpopular senator in the nation. There is no way she would win a Democratic primary in Arizona, but guess what? She doesn't have to anymore. This past December, she switched her party to independent, and with that, she is now immune to a Democratic primary. If she wants to run, there is nothing stopping her name from appearing on that ballot in Arizona. And Ruben Gallego, the representative from Arizona, is a popular candidate to take Sinema's name on that Democratic ballot. And he absolutely can win there. He is popular. But like I said, if Sinema is also on that ballot next to Gallego, that calls for division in the Democratic Party. It may not be much because Sinema probably won't garner very many votes, but any division whatsoever on the Democratic ballot here is very bad news for them, as they're not winning the state by double digits or anything. They have had to earn all of their statewide wins they have had these past few election cycles. And until I hear that Sinema is not running, this causes a divide for the Democrats that I think the Republicans can cut up the middle with, even if they don't run a popular candidate like they did not in 2022. So with that, I think the Republicans will have a 52-48 Senate majority after this election cycle. They do capitalize on the bad Democratic map to an extent, not quite as much as they might hope. But yeah, so thank you very much for watching, and I plan to make many more videos, not only about the Senate, but of other elections all over the country as we are approaching the presidential election in 2024 and the more gubernatorial races, Senate races, and more. So again, thank you very much for watching. This is Rust Belt Perspective, signing out.